Good morning again, and let me add my welcome to the newcomers in the crowd. This is typically my opportunity to talk with you about the general state of the university and to outline some of the most significant work we have ahead this year. Joan has covered academic affairs, so I won't try to duplicate too much of that. As we've mentioned, Lisa and I have decided it's time to turn over the keys at the Chancellor's residence on June 30th next year and to pursue a new adventure or two in the years ahead. So we do so with anticipation, knowing that we have our health, our twin brand new grandsons born in March, our 3 fabulous grown children and their significant others, and a brand new puppy. This is slow-mo. So what we need in our family is more change. And our daughter, Allie, who's in the audience, is getting married in November. So those of you who might be familiar with my golf game would not be surprised by the puppy's name, Bogey. To be perfectly honest, he should have been named Double Bogey. But as my golfing friend said, the name was aspirational. There are uncertainties for sure. Lisa says she's not convinced that I will know what to do with myself when I'm not in charge of something. And that may be true, but I'm pretty sure I can teach that puppy to heel. And I look forward to offering some of what I know about higher education to support the professional development of others who are considering taking on leadership roles in these large and complex institutions. Lisa, you actually have more things to be concerned about than I do. What are you going to do when you can't plan a reception for 200 people? Don't you worry about the quality of public art when you leave the Charlotte Public Art Commission. And what are we both going to do when we actually have to change our light bulbs? Life will be good, but nothing will compare to leading this amazing place, which I've said on many occasions is one of the great success stories in higher education in the years since World War II. And this experience has been everything that Chancellor Woodward said it was when he held the office, the very best job in higher education. And because of that, the upcoming search will attract an amazing pool of talented individuals who want to become just the 5th chancellor and the 6th leader in an amazing 75-year institutional history, which will be celebrated in 2021. In the interest of time, I'm not going to spend the usual level of attention I give to our accomplishments of the past year. We want to leave plenty of time for questions and answers, including those related to the search and our intended future actions with respect to safety and security. There can be no question that our first obligation this fall is to ensure that all members of the campus community feel safe and secure to do their best work. I've outlined the steps we have taken in that regard in a statement available on the campus website, including an enhanced police presence on campus this fall, on the campus and at the light rail station, additional active assailant response training, increased security for large events, additional safety information to be posted in our classrooms, and continuing attention to counseling and other support services for faculty, staff, and students. We also hope to take the lessons of our own internal review of the campus response to the shooting of April 30th and the recommendations of an independent external review that we have commissioned to strengthen our security posture as may be necessary. I'm confident that the campus community will pull together in ways that allow us to continue to deliver upon the component parts of our primary mission as North Carolina's urban research university without being paralyzed by the fear created by one determined assailant. And with that said, we do not want to forget what happened on April 30th. I have confidence that the Remembrance Commission that I appointed in May will give us some thoughtful recommendations about how best to memorialize what happened here. That tragedy will always be part of our history, as will Riley Howell, Reed Parlier, the 4 students who suffered physical injuries, the 45 students who ran for their lives from Kennedy 236, and countless others who were locked down on campus for hours, and a larger community of parents, family members, and friends who worried about their loved ones while the scope of the tragedy unfolded in real time. Nor do we want to forget the reaction of the community at large in North Carolina and indeed from around the country, which embraced us in their hearts. We learned from the Charlotte community, maybe for the first time, that they see us as their university. Our declaration for this year, "We are all Niners," speaks to the shared pain of April 30th, but also to our shared commitment to recover, remember, and advance UNC Charlotte to higher levels of distinction. I don't want to appear to be Marco Rubio here, but. Okay. Of course, the tragedy of April 30th came at the very end of our academic year, and it could easily overshadow all that was accomplished by our talented administrators, faculty, staff, and students. What I can tell you is that our institution continues to perform at a high level, a very high level, in terms of the quality of our teaching, research, creative activities, and community engagement. Public recognitions of members of the campus community and our alumni for their significant contributions to their professions and their communities continue to pile up, while both our undergraduate and graduate students continue to distinguish themselves in the classrooms, in studios and laboratories, in athletic competition, and in service to the community. We continue to be blessed in the citizen governance of UNC Charlotte by a wise and experienced Board of Trustees, led by our new chair, Mike Wilson, and Mike is here today, and he'll be part of the question and answers. Thank you for coming, Mike. 9 members of the board have multiple years of experience now, and they're going to be joined by 3 excellent newcomers: Christine Katzif of Bank of America, David Mildenberg of Business North Carolina, and Carlos Sanchez of AT&T. And I know, based on his excellent service as student body vice president, that Chandler Crean will serve us strongly as a trustee based on his new position as the SGA president. As I mentioned, Joan has detailed the accomplishments and plans for academic affairs, division she has led with absolute distinction since 2003. Let me make particular note of the role she played this year, as she mentioned, in filling our vacant senior administrative positions, the Vice Chancellor for Research and Economic Development, and the 2 important deanships in Arts and Architecture and Health and Human Services. She landed some incredibly talented individuals, and I look forward to their stellar leadership. We will also look to our Vice Chancellor and Deans to continue to hire and support excellent university administrators who make this one of the most, effectively managed universities in the country. This year alone, we lost several important associate vice chancellors or equivalent administrative officers to retirement, many with years of experience that ranged from almost 30 years to well over 40. And we had a couple of vacancies created when talented UNC Charlotte administrators were given opportunities at other institutions. And we take that as a point of pride in how we've prepared our folks. I worried a great deal about replacing some of these people. When you lose people like Jim Hoppe in Student Affairs, Sherry High in the Budget Office, Keith Wassam in Business Affairs, and Kim Whitestone in Athletics, you have reason to be concerned but we've been able to recruit 9 extremely able people to fill vacant and new positions in the mid-management of this institution. These are the people that make things happen and make things work. And if you encounter any of the individuals pictured in the screen, you can have confidence that we're in very good hands in the years ahead. Our physical infrastructure continues to develop with the completion of the renovations of the academic core, the Belt Plaza, the North Tryon entrance, and the Gage Undergraduate Admissions Center, which we just yesterday dedicated formally. This next year will see the completion of the University Recreation Center in early January, and continued progress on both the Science Building and the UNC Charlotte Marriott Hotel and Conference Center, both of which will be completed in 2021. And by the way, that is going to be the official name of the hotel, the UNC Charlotte Marriott Hotel and Conference Center. It's been approved by Marriott. They stamped their big M on it. I will no longer be Chancellor, of course, but I'm counting on the 5th Chancellor to make sure that the 4th Chancellor and his wife stay in the Chancellor's suite when the hotel is dedicated. We will also continue our work on replacing Moore Hall, and we'll make a final decision on Sanford Hall in the months ahead. And although any plan is subject to change, we will work with the trustees this year to make further progress with respect to the 2021 to 2025 Capital Facilities Plan, our working document for repair and renovation. We have multiple facilities challenges, and all of them require money to be properly addressed. Fortunately, pending the resolution of the current budget impasse in the General Assembly with the governor, we are pleased to see that the upcoming budget under consideration includes a long-term commitment of $45 million to renovate the Burson and Cameron buildings after the Science Building has been occupied. At the same time, we'll need to be creative in the use of our available funding for repair and renovation. And our own resources are often needed to address significant challenges, and we have them in many places, particularly McInerney, Calvert, and the Cone Center. As I think I mentioned last year at this time, we also have to continue to work hard on effectively using our space. The many small space silos that we have around campus are certainly convenient to local users, but they don't make a lot of sense from the perspective of meeting our collective needs. Just one small example. We have 253 dedicated conference rooms on this campus. They occupy, in the aggregate, 80,000 square feet of space. How much is 80,000 square feet of space? If you put all of those conference rooms in one place, in one building, it would be larger than the current assignable space in Macy, Kennedy, Geringer, Denny, and Winningham combined. That's a lot of space. Now, one of the major challenges we will face this year relates to our budget, which will be perhaps the most constrained of any since the Great Recession. Part of why we will have a constrained budget is related to changes mandated by the General Assembly in how enrollment change funds are calculated and then allocated to the campuses by the UNC System Office and the Board of Governors. Converting over from a methodology based on projected enrollments to one based on actual enrollments has meant that there is a one-year gap year in which no new enrollment increase funds are distributed to any campus. New enrollment funding will not be available until the fall of 2020. But the more significant concern with respect to our budget relates to our actual enrollment this fall and moving into spring. Beginning in the days immediately following the shooting, about 160 students who had previously told us that they intended to enroll at UNC Charlotte told us that they decided to go elsewhere. It doesn't seem possible to conclude that anything other than the shooting on April 30th caused these students and their parents to rethink their plans. Although we extended our enrollment commitment deadline from May 1st to May 15th, we also saw other institutions opening up their wait lists for additional students. And for reasons we do not yet fully understand, the enrollment of new transfer students has also declined. Overall, when all the numbers are in, we expect our enrollment to be down significantly from last fall. That has a consequence both for the amount of tuition revenue that we will collect this year, but also for how the appropriation will be calculated next fall on the actual enrollments this year. Obviously, the situation is one we want to watch carefully. We want to understand what's happened, and it'll affect our recruitment strategy for the spring of 2020, and certainly for the following fall semester and the years ahead. I believe it's a temporary phenomenon. I don't think there's any reason to be panicked, but we want to be thoughtful about it. And we need to understand the budgetary consequences and to develop options for managing a shortfall. I think most of you know that we have relied significantly upon our enrollment increase funding to fund a variety of initiatives, including the commitment of $29.4 million over the years to address employee salaries in the absence of meaningful state salary increases. And we've also used a lot of our own resources over time to address our own repair and renovation needs. We spent about $80 million between fiscal 13 and 17 on repair and renovation. 85% of it came from the campus, only 15% came from the state. So stay tuned. We've got a lot of work to do on that front. Beyond the items I've mentioned here this morning, let me mention some of the more important initiatives from around our other administrative divisions. Provost Lorden has already given you the full rundown for academic affairs, but let me make special mention of the importance of the Barry Dunn assessment of our information technology organization. Within the Division of Information Technology, and indeed for the entire campus, this will be the largest issue we have to deal with. While I think some of the expressed concerns about the process we have used are not founded in fact, I also think it's fair to say that for purposes of discussion, I challenged Barry Dunn to challenge you with a very centralized model of IT delivery. It's pretty clear now that I was successful in scaring the bejesus out of many of you. I've heard those expressions of concern, and I'm now leaning toward a middle ground that achieves many of the goals of the organizational analysis while ensuring that IT services continue to be responsive to the needs of the campus community. In the next few weeks, I will issue a document, if you will, a draft decision for one last round of your comment and feedback. I will be giving you about 2 to 3 weeks to respond, so please give that document your earliest attention when you receive it. It will not be helpful to me for you to say that you are opposed to all change in IT. It will be helpful for you to assess whether the reorganization that I will propose, while perhaps not your preference, nevertheless has a reasonable chance of improving the effectiveness and efficiency of our collective IT resources on campus. Business Affairs, under the capable leadership of Vice Chancellor Beth Hardin, will be leading the refinement of the capital facilities plan that I mentioned to you, managing the development of options related to the budget shortfall that's possible, and coordinating the work of the independent external review group hired to assess our readiness for the April 30th shooting and our response. Beth and her staff will also be intimately involved with the oversight of the permanent financing of the UNC Charlotte Marriott Hotel and Conference Center. Student Affairs, led by our able Vice Chancellor Kevin Bailey, has a long list of to-dos this fall, but heading the list is to work with Chartwell's business services on campus and experts in the faculty and staff and student body to address food insecurity at UNC Charlotte among our student body. Bailey will also be working with the General Counsel's office to figure out how best to address students' interest in having legal services available to them. Student Affairs and Academic Affairs will work together on the development of a year-long orientation process for our first-year freshmen and transfer students. And Bailey will also lead the planning of the on-campus remembrance on April 30th. Our new Division of Institutional Integrity has just completed its second year under the guidance of Vice Chancellor and General Counsel Jesh Humphrey. Institutional integrity is composed of a broad range of administrative areas, including legal affairs, Title IX, internal audit, ethics and compliance, and enterprise risk management, a function added just this year with the hiring of Stephen Dunham. Each of those areas has a detailed agenda for the coming year, but among the most important are new educational efforts so faculty, staff, and students can understand the administration of our free speech policies, and similar efforts to deliver more Title IX training for academic departments and athletic teams. In the Division of University Advancement, led by Vice Chancellor Niles Sorensen, I think, and they've done an outstanding job under Niles, it includes responsibilities for our private fundraising, alumni affairs, campus communications, and our external government and community relations. With the exponential campaign currently at $190 million, we expect to pass our $200 million goal during the upcoming year, prior to the formal end of our 5-year campaign on June 30th, 2020. So we expect to be well into the 200s as we close. Using the momentum of passing that goal, Niles and his team will initiate the planning for the 75th anniversary, and his communication staff, led by our new Chief Communications Officer, Colleen Pennall, will be launching the We Are All Niners campaign throughout the city, particularly at the Charlotte Douglas Airport. My Special Assistant for Constituent Relations, Betty Doster, has a full plate for the coming year, with continuing attention to build, support, and strengthen relationships with the Board of Governors, elected officials at all levels, and business and nonprofit organizations in this region. In a very difficult legislative session, Betty did a fantastic job of working with the system office and her legislative relations colleagues from throughout the system to help secure many of our most important policy priorities, as well as to obtain that long-term commitment that I mentioned to renovate the Burson and Cameron buildings. Acting upon that commitment awaits the legislative and budget and executive branches working out the current budget impasse, but we will certainly be encouraging them to find a way to do that. While we wait, Betty will forge ahead with a special assignment as co-chair, along with Professor Eric Heberlig from the Department of Political Science and Public Administration, to lead the campus-wide task force that will lead our engagement with the Republican National Convention in August of 2020, under the umbrella of the 49er Democracy Experience. Betty and her team are already hard at work on that event, and Betty, I'll be watching with interest from Georgia. In athletics, we have watched the whirlwind of change being orchestrated by Athletic Director Mike Hill since his arrival in March of 2018. He has hired 5 new head coaches and some key senior staff, including Reagan Hill, no relation, as our senior woman administrator. Mike has launched an ambitious planning process to envision the athletic facilities we will need in the years ahead, and will also be working this year to refresh the athletic brand. Last year, under his leadership, athletics set a new record for private giving. We look to see that private fundraising success grow with the success we anticipate with our new coaches. The excitement around new head coach, football coach Will Healy, will be on full display when we host our first ever Thursday night game on August 29th at 7:30 p.m. against Gardner-Webb University. We anticipate a very full stadium with all of you in attendance, but pay attention to the information that it gets distributed about classes and parking on that day. I gave Mike only one piece of chancellorial advice this year: just win, baby. As I close today, let me say that Lisa and I are happy that we leave UNC Charlotte in good shape and on our own terms. As you have seen in higher education generally and in the UNC system in particular, this is sadly often not the case. And the uncertainty associated with these leadership positions is obviously not good for the individuals themselves, but in my opinion, not good for the institutions that they serve. A rather stunning statistic is that since I began my chancellor tenure in 2005, there have been 64 chancellors in the 17-campus UNC system, with 12 campuses having been served by 4 or more chancellors, and 1 campus having been served by 6. I've often quoted the late Clark Kerr, the president of the University of California, who lost his job because of politics. Kerr said that he left the presidency the way he entered it, fired with enthusiasm. And as Lisa and I leave, we're every bit as enthusiastic about our work at UNC Charlotte as we were in 2005, satisfied with what we've accomplished with your help and support, but also looking forward to controlling our own calendars and recapturing some of the benefits of a private life. I was just 46 years old when I became the University of Wyoming president in 1997. Lisa, of course, was much younger. And I will have served as a campus chief executive officer for 23 years as of next June. 15 of them here, of course. That's a long time. It's time for a change for us, and importantly, for you. I ask that you give your next chancellor the same amount of support and encouragement that you've given me. The culture of UNC Charlotte has always been one of cooperation and collaboration rather than confrontation, even in difficult times, as we saw in the depths of the Great Recession, and that we may see this year with some financial issues. We've pulled together rather than being pulled apart. Together, we have been committed to transparency in dialogue and in decision-making. That's been the case since Bonnie Cohn led Charlotte College, and through the lengthy tenures of our chancellors, Dean Calvert for 12 years, E.K. Fretwell for 10, Jim Woodward for 16. Longevity in the chancellor's office is not a commentary so much on the skills of the chancellors as it is on the culture of the institution and its commitment to shared governance. Shared governance actually works here. I would invite you, if you would like to have a faculty vote of no confidence, this is a good time to have it. I'm out of here. This year, we will have some highs and lows, for sure. We may have some budget and enrollment challenges, as I mentioned. We are going to want to properly remember April 30th, our victims and their families. And we will want to energize ourselves for the future, something I know will accompany the selection of the 5th chancellor. Lisa and I will be here to take one last lap around the track and to thank you for our time. I do want to share some important news with the faculty. As many faculty members know, I always tell pretty much the same set of jokes at commencement, including one about how when we ring the old bell at the end of the ceremony, it has to be rung 8 complete times as we close out the ceremony. To ring a bell 8 complete times requires 1 ding and 1 dong, so people often think they've heard it rung 16 times. I have only 7 commencement ceremonies left between the fall commencement and the ceremony of next spring, the ceremonies of next spring. So here's a spoiler alert, but you may be moved to applause. Sometime late in the afternoon of May 9th, 2020, I will officially retire that joke. By my calculation, I will have told that joke 68 times since 2005. And here's something even more shocking. You've always laughed at it. I'm counting on one more time. Thank you very much.